Alright, Kaya, let's take a look at your paper. MLA format first. This is good. This needs to be the class name. So you want to put class name there. You got a huge space right here that you have to take care of. Not the greatest title in the world. I think you can probably come up with something different. Now, the first thing I want you to notice about your introduction is that it's only 4 sentences long. So that's your first problem that we need to fix. So you start off with a quote about the actual disease. Yes, you can start with a quote. You're jumping really right into the topic, though. I wouldn't feel maybe so bad about it if you took a second right after the quote to explain it, expand on it, do something with it before you jumped into the play itself. Remember punctuation. Punctuation goes after the citation, so make sure that period gets moved. He experienced, so you're jumping right into your main points. You're not even introducing your topic, really, that he suffered from it. You're jumping right into your main points. You got to add in a sentence about how he suffered from it, because then you do it right here. And this trepidation and egotistical, I feel like all of this should be your thesis statement. That you should bring up this comment and this comment, or theme, if you would, in that last statement. So maybe try to rework that thesis statement to include all of those things. Got some space issue there too that you need to fix. Alright, so with your second paragraph, you start with a quote from the play. You don't need to put this afterwards, because what you need to do, which you didn't, is if you're going to start with this, you better explain it right after it. And then you can jump into the outside source. Okay? Remember, you got to put end punctuation after this. This is going to probably be the wrong citation too. This too is probably the wrong citation. I'll look at it when I get down to your works cited page. So you have this quote from the play, then you jump right into a quote about hallucinations. Then you jump right into plot. This is all plot right here. Now, again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. So this paragraph only has 5 sentences in it, which is the bare minimum you should have in a paragraph. And even that, you should have a really long paragraph. Alright, so you have a quote, something about the disease. You have straight up plot. This is what happened in the play. And then this is all that you have left. Now, this is actually a transitional statement, which you learn how to do pretty well when you were in speech class. But what you're saying here it's not talking about trepidation. It's not talking about egotistical. It's not talking about anything. That's what your thesis statement is. You have to explain that in here, that because he had hallucinations that made him egotistical. Well, I don't see that anywhere in here. You say that the hallucination of the dagger resulted in guilt or stress from the event. So that doesn't have anything to do with being egotistical or trepidation. You have 2 periods here. So you're really not putting enough in. I would rather have you see, and there's not really a strong topic sentence either. I don't even know what the topic of this paragraph is. I guess this is kind of the topic sentence right here. But again, it's also in your transitional statement. So topic sentence, outside source, explain outside source, explain how Macbeth had it in the play. How does that deal with egotistical? Then jump into the transition statement. That should be your order of operation for that paragraph. So this paragraph's longer, which is fine. But you have, again, this needs to be fixed. Again, you have 2 periods at the end. And these are, Kaya, these are silly mistakes that need to be fixed. So no periods right here. 1 period here. You have a comma splice here. Then you jump into a quote. You have a space issue here. But my bigger concern is that when you have a quote that goes on to 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, you need to separate it. That was part of our discussion at the beginning, you need to separate this into its own line. So you actually hit enter and then tab twice, and that's all these lines are tabbed twice. Now you have some capitalizations here that you need to fix. Alright, so he panicked at the sight of his bloody apparition, comma, therefore creating fear inside him. He hit it quickly, although he freaked out for quite some time during that banquet scene, so I'm not exactly sure what you're saying that he was going to kill Banquo repeatedly to get rid of him. They started questioning his power as well as his sanity. So again, we have all plot. This actually supports this, but yeah, it's way up here. That's why put this way up here if you're not really going to talk about it too much. So, you know, move that quote down, and then this is essentially one long transitional statement again. Now, you actually use a transitional statement. Should be sort of a short, quick, one sentence, moving us to the next topic, but you actually even use a whole quote in here, which I would think you'd rather use down here. So I'm not sure. The paper is about his symptoms, so why are we focusing on Lady Macbeth and her questioning him? So we'll see as we get here, but this is intriguing. Alright, so as I suspected, this paragraph, you eventually get to it, but Kaiya, you're going to have to rework this whole paragraph, because this whole paragraph is about Lady Macbeth, okay? So eventually you get to the fact that this affected him because of, you know, this, whatever it is. But this should be all about, here's the next symptom of Macbeth. Now, if it's manipulation, which is, you know, if one of the symptoms is being easily manipulated, which in here, your symptom is reduced feelings, should be your third symptom, okay? That should be reduced feelings of the husband. Now, you eventually get to the whole, I don't even know. I was thinking, oh, I guess you didn't. You eventually, I would think, get back to the fact that he has no emotions when she dies. So, anyways, I think I don't think you have to rework this paragraph to focus on Macbeth and his illness and what it does to him. I don't care about what it does to her. This paragraph should be all about Macbeth and what he is. Now, with that being said, you have several sentences in here that are worded poorly. You have run-on sentences in here that you need to fix. And the one thing that's going to really kill you, you start using the word you and your. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, don't be shocked when you get your paper back and you have a 0 for voice, because every time you use a different point of view pronoun than third person, you lose a point. So you will have 0 points when it comes to voice. You cannot jump into second person point of view. That's not the purpose of a research paper, and not the purpose of this research paper. So all of those statements have to get out of there. You finally get to the idea of egotistical, though. Macbeth's emotions are selfish. Here's a run-on sentence. So you're finally getting to that, which is good, which is the first paragraph that actually addresses the thesis statement, but the rest has got to go. All right, so social isolation is your last one. You got a run-on sentence to start off right off the bat. You don't have any quotes from the play. I forgot to go back. You don't have any quotes from any outside source about the symptom in this one either. Neither in this one too. So no quotes about the play, no quotes about the symptoms in either of these last two paragraphs. You have space issues, you have run-on sentences, you have sentences that simply don't make sense. People grew of suspicion, so they grew suspicious. So you want to fix that. You go back to the Banco one. This is more for the no remorse. This is more for the last paragraph. This is starting to get into actual social isolation. All by himself to defend his pride. So now you're starting to get into the egotistical part, which is good. But you're not showing me how that symptom plays into it, because I don't know anything about the symptom. But I want to know how it plays into this egotistical concept. Unfortunately, comma. Now you're talking about delusions, which you've already talked about before. And this doesn't really have to do anything with social isolation, so not sure why that's there. So obviously that paragraph needs some work too, Kaiya. All right, remember conclusion. Restate your thesis. This is almost like stuff that should have been included in the last paragraph. So restate your thesis. All of these get their own sentence of summary. So you got to go through. So there's 4 sentences right there. You should have just with that, with this one paragraph or one sentence. This is going back to the thesis statement. This is going back to the thesis statement. So you don't really have a true clincher on here as well. Something that kind of ends on a positive note and kind of gets the reader out. All right, works cited. This should go at the top. There should not be space in between. This should be alphabetical. Every second line should be indented. It should all be the same size font. This is different size font. So you got a little bit of work to do with this one as well. These shouldn't be separated from. Yeah, see, when you were actually citing Mayo Clinic, you should have been citing these. Like, and I feel like all of this should be in quotes too. So you have to go back and double check what the top of the page says. All right, Kaiya, and you got an extra page here to boot. A lot of work to do on this paper. You got some things that you need to take care of. You actually address the thesis in some of your body paragraphs, which is good. You just need to do more of that. All right, good luck on your rewrite.